Welcome to The Explainer. So, we all face problems every single day, right? But here's a question. Are we solving them the right way? Today, we're going to break down a framework that will totally change how you look at every single challenge you face, from a tiny hiccup at work to a massive company-wide project. You know, it's a really tempting idea, isn't it? The idea that there's some silver bullet, one single method to fix everything. And a lot of organizations seem to operate this way, reaching for the same tool every single time something goes sideways. It gives you a sense of consistency, sure, a feeling of control. But is that really the best we can do? I mean, we've all heard the buzzwords, right? These one-size-fits-all solutions that get thrown around in meetings. But here's the thing. Relying on just one favorite method is like being a carpenter who only has a hammer. You could probably use it to turn a screw or even saw a board, but it's going to be messy, it's not going to be efficient, and the results probably won't be very good. And that's the real truth of it. The most effective problem solvers, the ones who really move the needle, they don't start with a solution at all. They start by getting a deep, deep understanding of the problem itself. This one question from lean thinking expert Art Smalley is the absolute key. It forces all of us to just pause before we leap into action. Okay, so how do we actually answer that question? Well, this is where Art Smalley gives us the toolkit. He came up with this incredibly simple but really powerful framework that sorts pretty much any problem into one of 4 different types. The whole point is to make sure we're not just swinging that hammer, but that we're picking the right tool for the right job every single time. So here they are: troubleshooting, gap from standard, target state, and open-ended innovation. Now that might sound a little academic, but stick with me. We're going to walk through each one, and you can really think of them as falling into 2 very simple buckets: fixing what's broken and building what's next. All right, let's start with the stuff that hits us every day. You know, the fires we're constantly putting out, the unexpected curveballs that demand we react right now. This is the world of reactive problem solving. So, type 1, think of these as your organization's first responders. A machine on the line suddenly goes down. A customer has an urgent problem that needs fixing now. The goal here is not some deep, long analysis. It's about swift, effective action to contain the problem and get things back to normal fast. And the process for type 1 has to be lightning quick. It's usually not a big formal meeting. It's just a fast huddle based on what are often called the 4 C's. What's the concern? What's the immediate cause we can see? What countermeasure can we put in place this second? And finally, check. Did our fix actually work? It's all about simple, direct action. But what happens when that quick fix just isn't cutting it? What about those nagging problems that just keep coming back? Or a crisis so big that a simple Band-Aid won't do? For that, let's take a look at one of the most famous crises in the history of human exploration. This is what's so fascinating. The Apollo 13 crisis is a perfect example of 2 totally different kinds of problems happening at once. The first, the type 1 problem, was immediate and life or death. How in the world do we get these astronauts home safely? The actions were pure troubleshooting genius. But later, after they were safe, a totally different question came up. A type 2 problem. Why did those oxygen tanks explode in the first place? And that required a completely different way of thinking. And that second question? That is a type 2 problem. This is where we go from being firefighters to being detectives. It's a disciplined, methodical deep dive to find the true root cause, not just the surface level symptom. The goal here is to permanently close the gap between the broken situation we're in and the standard we're supposed to be at. Okay, so we've talked about fixing things that are broken. Now let's completely flip the script. Let's look at the other side of this framework, where we move from just fixing problems to proactively creating the future. This is where problem solving becomes an engine for growth. And this slide right here brilliantly illustrates the huge mental shift. See, a type 2 problem is about a caused gap. Something went wrong, it broke, and now we have to get back to the standard we had before. But a type 3 problem, that's about a created gap. We are intentionally creating a gap between where we are today and a new, much higher standard we want to reach. And that is type 3 thinking in a nutshell. It is not about digging for a single root cause of a single failure. Nope. It's about looking at the entire system and tackling complex, messy issues. Things like long lead times, too much inventory, or not enough flexibility. This is the world of Kaizen, of continuous improvement, where we're always pushing for a better way. So, for example, instead of just fixing one of your 3 machines again, which would be a type 1 or type 2 problem, Type 3 thinking steps way back and asks, wait a second, why do we have 3 separate machines in the first place? Maybe we can redesign the whole process and go from 3 specialized machines running at low capacity to one super flexible machine that's running at almost full capacity. That's a game changer. And that brings us to the final type, the real frontier of problem solving. In Type 4, there is no existing standard. There's no map. We are in the world of blue sky thinking, of breakthrough design, of true innovation. We're not just improving something that already exists, we are creating something brand new. You can see this Type 4 thinking so clearly in Toyota's own history. I mean, think about it. The Corolla wasn't just a slightly better version of an old car. It basically created a new standard for mass market reliability. The Prius wasn't just a more efficient Camry. It created an entirely new market for hybrid technology. Each one of these was a leap into the unknown. So, when you pull this all together, what is the big takeaway? It's actually really simple. Effective action always starts with accurate diagnosis. Jumping straight to a solution without first figuring out the type of problem you're facing, well, it's like starting a road trip without even looking at a map. And that's why understanding these 4 types really matters. It's not just some academic exercise. It forces you to think more clearly. It helps you engage your people better by putting the right person on the right task. You don't send your top R&D scientist to go fix a jam on the assembly line, right? And ultimately, it just delivers way better, more sustainable results. And so we end up right back where we started, but now with this powerful new lens. The next time you're facing a challenge, big or small, don't just reach for that familiar hammer. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself this one simple, incredibly powerful question. Because knowing what kind of problem you're trying to solve is always the first and most important step to actually solving it.